Howdy, folks. I'm Rebecca Jolly, the Jolly Alchemist, here, wheezing a little bit because I'm a little bit asthmatic today, to do a transit report for Saturday, the 4th of October, 2025, if I can get my breath. All right, so this is our second day of the right angle cross of tension. Right angle crosses, you may remember, are in the lower trigram, so they're inwardly focused. They're not looking in the outside world. They're doing their own personal little process. And in the case of the second line, they are just naturally doing their own thing inside the house. People are looking in on them. And in this case, instead of necessarily drawing them out, sometimes it's drawing them out, but it's about interference in both of these gates, 48 and 21, and kind of how to deal, how these people deal with interference in what it is that they're trying to do. So let's look at it. 48, line 2, is called Rejection by 64 Keys, but Degeneracy by Ra. Now you got to remember, Ra is trying to shock people into looking twice, into digging deeper, and to find out what the meaning is. So there's some value in that, but I can also see why they were rewritten, because you don't want to piss people off necessarily. So let's look into what that means. Rejection, recognizing and resisting what is inferior. Now, we're talking about the 48th gate here. So we're talking about the nature of depth and what is happening in depth and in the development of depth, the different levels and layers of depth. And in this second level, Ra talks about it being about confidence. And he uses the example of an ad, a person in an ad agency, and they design a box, and it has the design, the color, the font, whatever. They take it in, and the client says, I don't like this, change this, no, I don't really like this. And what will happen to the second line of that depth is that if it doesn't have confidence in its work, then it can lead to, let's see what it says, a lack of confidence invites interference and decadence. So then the design will end up being something different. And this is actually also related to the 16th gate, because another part of the thing is confidence. It's a thing, but you have this 48th gate always really looking to the 16 to get it into manifestation, to get it expressed, to get it to come out. So it's the 16 that's going to decide whether or not it's going to experiment with the 48. The 48 will bring this design from the ad agency in this example, and the 16 will say, I don't know if I want to bring it out or not, but it's a learning process for that 48, that depth, line 2, to maintain its integrity, to have confidence and say, no, actually, I have, intuitively, it's one of these, these are all kinds of intuitions coming out of the splenic center, that center of intelligence. Yeah, I just got sidetracked by another short I need to make in response to a question. Okay, so, so the key of the whole thing is to learn to maintain your confidence, because in your confidence, then you can reject that interference from the outside and get your depth expressed. So it's a difficult thing, especially for a second line that's not thinking about its depth. But that's the whole point of human design, is once you discover that it's okay to rely on your depth and to have confidence in it, then you can, and then you don't have to worry about the interference anymore. And that's exactly what Ra was saying. The gift of human design and knowing your design is to be able to have confidence, because you know who you are. Nobody can take that away from you once you know that about yourself. Whereas most of us were born in this world wandering around, not knowing who we are and letting other people tell us. That's not so good. So 21.2, our Earth activation, is intervention. Again, we're talking about this subject of intervention. Ra calls it might is right. Powerful intervention in response to interference. So that 21st gate is about control, and he talks about how there will be, a person at their desk doing their thing, and someone comes in and looks at them. We're always looking in the window on those second lines, sees that they're in control of their thing, and tries to fuck with them, basically. And in those instances, the 21 line 2 will, without even thinking about it, sharply react to that kind of interference and be like, fuck off. No, I am in control. Well, they have the right to do that. This is the line where they naturally are just controlling people. They're meant to be. That's good for them. It's right for them. No judgment. But other people are going to want to mess with it, is kind of the thing that I'm getting. But in response to that mess being messed with, it's okay for them to say, no, back off. I'm in control of this. This is my thing to control. The moon starts off in 55 line 3. Of course, the moon is the first of our people energies that are more likely to come to us in people from the outside than they are actually to be felt directly in our bodies in the transit. The 55th gate is abundance, emotional abundance. It's the middle one in this, the 3 here that touch the bottom of the emotional system. And so that is innocence, to cope with failure in innocence. So, that 55th gate is always glass half full, glass half empty, very, very sharp kind of an emotional wave. And it's saying, because of the nature of that third line, the experimentation, the bonds made and broken, grasping the nettle, oh, it's prickly, coming away from it, that they have the ability to cope with failure because it's all right. It's just part of such a wild wave anyway. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to come back here again anyhow. I'll be up and down. It's just a riding of the wave and experimenting with it. When the 55, when we've gone through the 55, we will hit the 37 at the moon. The 37 is also out of the emotional center, but in this case, it's heading up towards the ego and willpower center. That 37th gate is the gate of friendship, loyalty. This is the one that makes sure that the mouths get fed when the 40 brings the resources into the community. And then we will go to 63, which is the gate of skepticism or doubts. So we're going to be feeling a little skeptical this evening. So be prepared for that. If you feel skepticism coming on in, then okay, this is something the entire planet is entertaining right now. Our Mercury energy begins with 32 line 6. We talked about this yesterday. This is the last of our exploration of continuity here. And that was, as far as a definition, inner tranquility that calmly faces changes, but that will quickly move into the next gate, which is gate 50, line 1, the immigrant, who develops and refines values. That 50th gate is the gate of values, connected in the nurturing channel to 27, the nurturer. And this values or responsibilities that's happening here in the 50th gate is what we will be exploring for the next few days. And the immigrant is refining values because they're coming from their original place where there was one set of values and moving to the next one. And so they can, of course, have this comparison, this ability to evaluate values and decide, okay, which ones do I want to adopt and not? By the way, people who carry this line do have a tendency to move around more than people who don't. Interesting little tidbit there. We will also see the beginning of the second line of the 50th gate, and that is determination, to maintain one's values with strength. And of course, that also makes sense because here we are in a second line theme again, where what's being done is being done naturally. We're not looking into it and exploring it or researching it like we are in the first line. We're not experimenting with it like we are in the third line. It's still really personal. It's just something that you just do. Other people see it in you more than you yourself actually recognizing that that's a thing. All right, so that's what's happening in the Mercury energy. The Venus energy starts off in 47, line 2. 47 is making sense of confusion. Right here, we've been looking at this a lot in the last few days because we were in the 64. And now, of course, because the 64 leads to the 47, both here in the channel and in the wheel, here we are going through the 47th gate. So we do start off in 47-2. Let's remind ourselves of what that was. Ambition to overcome oppression. And now it moves into line 3. Self-oppression, to burden oneself. Unless you think, if you carry this line, that, oh, woe is me. It's generally talking about mental oppression. And by that we mean the burden to make sense of things. So somebody who carries this 47, line 3 is accepting on themselves the burden of trying to make sense. Yeah, it's my job. I want to experiment with this. I want to figure it out. I want to make sense of things. So yeah, it's called self-oppression, but it's not like, woe is me. It's not like slavery oppression. It's just a mental burden of trying to figure it out, because of course it is receiving a pressure from the crown, which is a pressure center, a pressure to figure things out, to understand. Our Mars energy begins in 44, line 1. 44 is the coming to meet, collaboration, situational awareness. And line 1 we talked about yesterday was conditions, structuring the collective through conditions. So understanding the conditions that are there. This is a tribal channel. It's about resources in the community and supporting the community by understanding what it needs. The second line is management, the purposeful development of collective structures. Again, we're looking at collective institutions, situations, structures where we have people working together. Again, it's about collaboration and figuring out how the collaboration best works. Once again, that second line is doing it naturally. So it's just naturally managing the nature of the structure for groups of people to make sure that they can work together well. This is, of course, in our channel of the Great Salesman. And so this is a very powerful channel because it's one that's very influential on other people. Oh, I see you. I see what's going around you. I see what you might need. Let me see if I can help you meet that need. So I also see our stand-up comedians often having activations in this channel. They really, really want to influence the collective with what they say. All right, that's the end of our people energies. Our global energies are stable. Hallelujah, because that gives me just a little bit of time to insert our little fun bits, and that is the tie for this, which is just very clashy, lots of discordant kinds of things. Of course, I carry it well with my bathrobe underneath here, but you can see these little guys here with their little there you go, their little what is that, shields, very just tense, clashy kind of stuff. So I thought, all right, that's a good tension tie. And our people who carry this third quadrant version of the right angle of tension. Let's look at them. Kate Winslet, Charlton Heston, Christine Northrup, Marshall Rosenberg, one of my favorite people, nonviolent communication, Susan Sarandon, Liev Schreiber, Alicia Silverstone, Baird T. Spalding, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Christoph Waltz. So I like him as an actor. So if you know anything about those people, then you can know that they're carrying this energy of depth and control. And our song for today is Stronger by Kanye West. I was curious about him, so I looked him up. He's a projector or a coordinator, and he does have that depth twice. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And he does not actually have the gate of control. He has my activation, which is the 45. And oftentimes, especially in the not self, we 45s are not looking at being teachers so much as we are on focusing on what we don't have right here, which is the control. So we'll be more likely to want control and have control issues from carrying that 45 than we would if we were actually carrying the 21. So he's got that 48, the depth, and then he's got the 45 that wants control. So that's why I was getting that real kind of tension coming up out of this song. But it's kind of interesting, and it's very just like, get in it. And he's using his depth in his lyrics. So I thought, okay, that's a good, to carry the energy of the J. It does. So there we have it. Our people, our tie, our song, our energies. Go forth and do a second line theme today, because there are an awful lot of twos going on in today. So until tomorrow, ciao.